Thank you for tuning in to the Candidly Crawford radio show here on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. I'm your host, Teresa.
And it's your boy, Nick.
And we are Candidly Crawford, all about God, marriage, life, and everything in between. Thank you so much for tuning in to our show tonight. We actually have a great show for you. Many of you actually reached out to us after we did the episode on religion versus relationship, and you guys asked for a part 2. So guess what tonight's show is all about?
Religion versus relationship.
Part 2. Yes. So before we dive in, because I know we actually want to talk on this one.
Yes.
We gonna keep the introduction kind of short tonight. So Nick, how was your week been?
My week was pretty good. You know, there was no complaints. Work wasn't as taxing as it was last week. And plus, we got to chill with our godchild.
We did. We had a great time just chilling with her, celebrating her mom's birthday this past weekend as well. So we had such a great time, and it's always good just to spend some time with our goddaughter. She just turned 7 months, and she is just really a ray of sunshine.
And guess what I did this weekend?
Oh boy, we all know. Say it with me, y'all.
No, I ain't about to say that. But I changed my first poopy diaper.
Oh, I thought you was getting ready to say how you grilled this weekend.
No.
You did. Okay,
Yes.
guys. So Nick has this thing. He does not do the poopy diapers. I always do all the poopy diapers, but I'm really proud of him because he actually changed his first poopy diaper. He did a great job, y'all.
First time in 39 years.
Oh, wow. With all the nieces and nephews, you never changed the poopy diaper.
I got past that. I couldn't do it.
Wow. So what are you going to do when we have our own?
I'm going to have to muster up the strength to get in there and change it.
Well, shout out to you.
Yeah.
Congratulations on changing your first poopy diaper, and you did a great job.
Thank you. And also, I did do a little grilling.
He did. And y'all, the food was banging as always. So, yeah, if you're just now tuning in, Nick definitely loves grilling. All I can say is between the smoker, where he's smoking some great meats, and then now he has a charcoal grill. Yeah, it's been on and popping over here, y'all. We eat real good over here in the Crawford household.
Yeah, but anyway, enough about me, Teresa. What about you? How was your week?
My week actually has been pretty great so far. It's not as super busy as it's been, I will say, over the last month, but it still definitely has had some busy spots. I will say that. I just can't even,
Just like the song, you've had some good days and you've had some hills to climb.
Yes.
Okay.
But I won't complain.
Come on now.
All right, y'all. So tonight's show is being sponsored by the Candidly Crawford podcast, available on your favorite podcast platform. Make sure you check us out. Yes, we do have a podcast in addition to the radio show. So for content beyond the radio show, make sure you check out the Candidly Crawford podcast, available on all your favorite podcast platforms in addition to the Candidly Crawford YouTube channel. Gosh, why does it seem like a mouthful?
It is a mouthful.
It is. But guys, coming up, we are actually going to dive into our topic, which is religion versus relationship part 2. If you missed part 1, again, it's available on the Candidly Crawford YouTube channel. So stay tuned in. We'll be right back.
We are Candidly Crawford Radio. All about God, marriage, life, and everything in between.
Tune in every Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern as we candidly share our thoughts and experiences on life and relationships with a few laughs too. Interested in growing your business by advertising on our radio show? Need a dynamic duo or host to speak at your event? Connect with us. Email us at candidlycrawford@gmail.com or at Candidly Crawford on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. And we are back. Thank you for tuning in to the Candidly Crawford radio show here on WDRB Media, along with those streaming live on the Streamer app, Apple Music, and the TuneIn app, and more. I'm your host, Teresa.
And it's your boy, Nick.
And we are Candidly Crawford. Now, just before we left for a break, we stated that we're actually going to dive into the topic of religion versus relationship part 2. Now, a few episodes ago, we did a part 1, and many of you reached out to us to do a part 2. So with this part 2, we actually are going to play a clip from the interview that Tye Tribbett had with the Breakfast Club, because it actually got some people's panties in a bunch.
Yes, this was, on the topics and in the messages of preachers all across the world.
It was, but let's actually take a listen to it.
I think it's a system now. Oh God, it's a system. Everything is a system, and systems work with or without God. So I think the institution of church is whack. I think how church is ran is whack. I think the religious system and structure is whack. I don't subscribe to it, even though I grew up in it, I benefited from it, but I learned that God is not the church. And once I realized, whoa, God ain't church. That for me, you know what I mean? I ain't from the streets, I'm from the church. So that was a huge thing as well.
It's in the Bible, though. It says you can't even find God in a man-made temple.
Why don't we read that, though? How often do you hear that sermon? No, you hear pastors make the people about the church. We got the church name, we church and the bumper sticker, the church. The church should be about the people. The church should be about the people, but the church makes the people about the church. So all churches now are a movement, but they're not about the people. They're not about serving and loving the people.
So, with that being said...
Whoa, hold up. That was a mouthful.
It was.
Yes.
It definitely was. And I have my opinions about it, but...
I don't know where to start with that because...
It's so much to unpack, man.
It's so much to unpack. And it was crazy because... all over social media, people was like, "Oh, Tye Tribbett said the church is wet." I don't believe that, and I encourage you guys to listen to the whole clip. That was just a minute of an hour-long interview,
right?
And the interview was good, but this clip, this 1 minute, was what everybody has focused on.
Exactly. Versus then going to get the true context of what Tye Tribbett was saying. And for me personally, I would say he did a great job explaining his opinion about it. Now, he didn't say this was gospel. He didn't say, this is what stands. He's saying this is the realization that he's come to, and this is his opinion. I don't even know why he's being crucified for it, but I actually agree with him.
That's my thing. I tend to agree with him as well. And it's crazy because I've had some family members post on social media, on Facebook, and all the religious people are on Facebook. And so I've just read people's posts, and even my family, I've read some of their posts, and I felt like that they were missing the point, what he was trying to say.
I agree. I think it went over a lot of people's heads. Only thing they heard was that he said that church was whack. And that's not what he was saying.
No, it's not.
It was not what he was saying. He was just saying how the church has been institutionalized into a movement. And made it so much so that it's not about the people anymore, because we... The believers, the body of Christ, we're the church. It's not the building. And I understand where he was coming from.
I do too. Like, that's the thing. I understood where he was coming from because we too were brought up in church from birth to adulthood. Yes. And we see how church has become more of a business. We've seen how the pulpit has become more of a political platform for some people.
Yeah.
We've seen how some churches, and I'm not saying all churches, but we've seen how some churches have become the place where we care about the money first and the people second.
Right.
And that's the wrong way of doing church.
Yes, but when you go back and when you go back to the word and you're reading, you'll notice that it wasn't too many times that Jesus actually stood in the temple and waited for people to come. He went to the people. And for us, I know times were way different back then. Now we thank God that we do have buildings that we can assemble in to where we can grow our faith and where we can commune and come together as believers in the faith and non-believers alike, to help usher in that relationship that we all should have with Christ.
Yeah, like one thing that I've seen that's discouraging me and then other people alike is how we are so focused on the edifice that we can't meet the needs of the people.
Exactly, because you got people in there giving their last dollar.
Yes.
But yet they probably don't, they go home hungry. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So to them,
it's really crazy.
yes, to me, it just blows my mind that, and by all means, guys, this is just our opinions. We're not saying this is the gospel, but we're just merely sharing our opinions about it because, for us personally, we've already talked about this, even when we were dating, before we were married, how we want to make sure that we are being the church instead of doing church.
Right. That's one major thing that we want to keep in the forefront of our marriage. We want to be what Christ wants the church to be.
Exactly.
And not just do it because the pastor may say so, or this is the way of the church. No, like, I'm tired of churches having multiple services throughout the week and all these other, little services, but we can't get in the community,
right,
and be the church.
Exactly.
We pass too many people on our way to church who needs us.
Exactly, and they may not even have an inkling about how welcoming we can be because we don't give them the opportunity to even
get to know us.
Exactly, because we don't go out to meet them. So I would definitely say now there's a lot of great churches out there that are doing, a great and phenomenal job with reaching the community, going to the community, and being active in the community. So, hats off to those churches and those ministries, because we know there are a lot of great laborers in Christ out there, and we are thankful for that because we just need more of that. So, for me, I would say just make sure that you're being the church, not just on Sundays,
right?
But it should be 7 days a week. Now, is anyone perfect? No, we're not perfect, and we all should be striving to be perfect. And as long as we are striving and God sees us making that effort and we yield our will to His, He will lead and guide us in every way and everything we should do, we should say, and how we can reach people. So I would say for us, well, yeah, I can say for us. I can speak for us because we are one.
Right.
We share the same opinion to where we would love to continue to be the church instead of doing church.
Right. And so even with all that being said, I do want to share something that I found out.
Yeah.
And you know how people were jumping on Tye, talking about, Tye said the church is whacking. Is the church whacking? I don't think the church is whack.
No.
And statistics prove to be on my side as well, because I started looking up some percentages of even just millennials going to church. And from 2019 to 2022, that was a tongue twister. The percentage of millennials going to church has increased from 21% to 39%. Marking a shift in church attendance patterns. And the thing about this, it made me happy because more people are going to church.
Yeah.
But then I looked at it some more, I did some more research, and the opportunity to be a hybrid church, going to church some in the building versus being online, that's what got the millennials coming back to church, because now they have an option.
Right.
And I thought that was really good, because I love the option of being able to go to church, but if there's a lot of things for us to do on Sundays or something like that, if we don't have a chance to go to the building, we still have an opportunity to grab the word by going online.
Right. So we don't miss it,
Right.
Even though we can't be physically there, for any particular reason, whether it's family in town, vacations while we are away, sickness, anything like that. We're just grateful.
Or just being tired or stressed out, or
you had a rough week, but
Right.
you're just like, I can't make it in the building today, but guess what? I'm going to still get this word either way. So I'm grateful for the option.
And yes, I feel like the pandemic has pressed, that's a positive thing. It pressed us to start these online ministries and virtual churches, services, and that's been a good thing, because before then, I can only speak for myself. I wasn't trying to miss church on Sunday.
Right.
And it hindered me from resting, because I was like, I got to be at church. But, to be honest, it was a little resentment for the people who could miss church, and I was always at church.
Yeah,
and so during the pandemic, when I really had to look at my relationship with God, I was like, okay, Lord, I know I love you, and I know that you love me.
Right.
And I know that you want us to enjoy life.
Right.
I just need to become aware of it and not be so down on myself when I'm not in church, but I'm on one of the beaches that you created.
Right.
Right.
And God made us to enjoy life as well. It's not to toil and labor. And definitely, by all means, I mean, doing great work within the church and in the community is definitely needed. So we're not saying don't go to church.
Right.
We're not saying don't be a part, of reaching those that need us. But at the same time, what we're saying is don't overextend yourself to the point to where you're burned out and you're just like, all right, I'm burned out.
Right.
I have nothing left to give to myself, to my family, or even God, because I'm tired.
Yeah, because a burnt out member is taking up the space of somebody who really needs the word, who needs that fellowship, that community.
Exactly.
So, like, for any member who is burnt out of going to church, I'm not saying not to fellowship with God. Find other avenues to fellowship with God.
I wholeheartedly agree. For us, I would say one thing, we mentioned this in the first part, religion versus relationship, part 1, where we stated that, we definitely we actually want to make sure that we create a healthy balance.
Right.
We love doing what we do in the church, but we also love what we do outside of the church, because I think Nick and I, we don't really flaunt it on social media or anything like that, but we do a lot in the community, believe it or not.
Yes.
And it's not to get accolades or anything like that. We do help a lot of people, and it's our joy, because we always say at the end of the Candidly Crawford radio show, we're blessed to be a blessing. And I'm telling you, God allows us to live that out, and we don't have to display it or prove it to anybody, but we're just doing what God has blessed us to do and what He's instructed us to do.
Yes, one thing that I do say is sometimes we have to take Jesus and meet people where they are.
Exactly.
And they might not make it to the sanctuary or the fellowship hall of a church, but if they're in the street and they can see Jesus within us, I feel like we're doing our job.
Most definitely. And sometimes some people may not even feel comfortable coming to the building itself, because maybe they feel like they're so far removed and they feel that they'll be judged when they walk in, or like people can just see their sin. That's so farther from the truth. I'm telling you, God wants to meet you exactly where you are, and there's nothing so bad that you've done to where God does not still welcome you with open arms. So if you feel like, hey, I've been away from God, I would say the religion or the religious folk will make you feel bad, like, I ain't seen you in a while. You've been out in the streets and you cannot pay that any attention.
Please don't.
You push forward with what God had told you to do. If God instructed you to go to a particular church or to visit, you don't have to join, but just find yourself connected to a Bible-based church. I'm telling you, for those of us who are believers that love Christ, we're going to wrap our arms around you.
Yes.
We're going to love you, show you the love that God has instructed us to show you. No judgment whatsoever. And
if that church ain't for you, find another one. We got one on every corner.
We do.
One is going to fit you.
Exactly. And if, I'm going to shameless plug. We go to Uplift Christian Ministries on 9100 Olmsted Drive in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you guys ever want to visit, please let us know. Service starts at 11 a.m. on Sundays. And I'm telling you guys, it's no judgment. It's like a big happy family. And there's plenty of churches like that around here. Now, like I said, they're not super religious or anything like that. We just want to love on you and teach you the word of God. And that's it. So make sure you find yourself connected to a Bible-based church. Don't worry about the religion. Focus on the relationship.
Yep. And with that said, after this small break, we'll be back.
We'll be right on back with what we call the Candid Tip of the Week. Thank you, guys. I wish we had more time because this is like a very great topic. And of course, we would love to stay beyond our time here on the radio show.
With a part 3.
We just might have to come back with a part 3. You guys let us know what you think, but we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
We are Candidly Crawford Radio. All about God, marriage, life, and everything in between.
Tune in every Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern as we candidly share our thoughts and experiences on life and relationships with a few laughs too. Interested in growing your business by advertising on our radio show? Need a dynamic duo or host to speak at your event? Connect with us. Email us at candidlycrawford@gmail.com or at Candidly Crawford on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. And we're back. Thank you for tuning in to the Candidly Crawford radio show here on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. I'm your host, Teresa.
And it's your boy, Nick.
And we are Candidly Crawford. Now, if you're just tuning in, I'm going to tell you, you missed a great conversation. We were talking about religion versus relationship part 2. And we were actually discussing the quick clip that we actually played with Tye Tribbett's interview on The Breakfast Club, and just talking about his opinion on what he came to the realization of when it comes to God and the church. And we shared our own thoughts as well. And again, we definitely just want to project Christ and God more than anything. This is not about, us versus anybody.
Who's right, who's wrong.
Yeah, it's not about that. It's about, hey, some people are coming to the realization of their own
relationship.
They're in their relationship. That's part of having a relationship with Christ, is that, sometimes there are revelations that come along and you can figure out that you've been something that you feel was right, you've been doing it wrong all along. And sometimes God brings that revelation to you at any point. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's for everybody, but that's all a part about cultivating your relationship with Christ so you can maintain and come into your own relationship with him, to commune with him so he can lead and guide you in every area.
Yes, and that's one thing that I love about God. He desires a personal, individual relationship with each one of us. Yes. So my relationship doesn't have to look like Teresa's relationship with him. And I don't have to be like, oh, if my relationship with Christ is not like Tye Tribbett's or anybody else's, then I'm doing it wrong, because I'm not. He has called me to a personal relationship with him.
Exactly. So keep in mind, guys, your relationship is not going to look like anybody else's. Don't let anybody tell you any different. You don't have to waddle and shout all in the floor. You don't have to do all of that. Your way of worshiping is your way of worshiping. Your way of praying is your way of praying. Your way of spending time with God is your way of spending time with God. But make sure that you are found spending time with him, and make sure that you are connected to a Bible-based church. So again, shout out to our church, Uplift Christian Ministries, Pastor Lionel Means and First Lady Ashaki Means. Definitely check them out on social media. You can catch all of the information there as well, especially on Facebook, and we do stream live on Facebook and YouTube. So we're come to the end of our show, to where we do the Candid Tip of the Week. And actually, I'm going to bring it to you this week. So this week's Candid Tip of the Week comes from the book of Philippians, chapter 2. I'm going to start in the middle of verse 12 and go into verse 13. It says, "Work hard to show the results of your salvation, obeying God with deep reverence and fear. For God is working in you, giving you the desire and the power to do what pleases him." Guys, I'm telling you, again, Philippians chapter 2, verses 12 and 13, and that is the NLT version. So make sure that you are working hard to show the results of your salvation. And as Nick and I mentioned, your relationship is your relationship. It should not mirror or image anyone else's. Yours is extremely unique, and that's what God has called us all to do.
Yeah, so Teresa, I have a question. First of all, great candid tip.
Thank you.
My question for you is, should we do a part 3?
I'm thinking we should do a part 3. We might even just go ahead and turn this into a podcast and invite some guests on, because this is really a great topic. And I already know that we're going to get a few emails and calls about this one too. So actually, guys, just stay tuned, and we could just definitely keep this going. So I think there's more to come on this religion versus relationship.
Yes, but we want to tell you thanks. Thank you everyone for listening, for tuning in. we consider you family because you are family. And we're going to wrap this up.
Yes. So thank you guys for tuning in to the Candidly Crawford radio show. Again, you can always check out the previous radio episodes and our podcast episodes on the Candidly Crawford YouTube channel. Just head on over to YouTube, type in @Candidly Crawford, and also connect with us on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Just type in @Candidly Crawford. We would love to connect with you. And thank you so much for taking the time to tune in and sit with us.
Yes, it's your boy Nick.
And I'm Teresa.
And we are Candidly Crawford.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to say it with you. But let's remember our mantra. We are blessed to be a blessing. Good night, guys.
Peace, guys.